Welcome to today's deep dive. Today, our mission is to pull from a really massive, season-long exploration from the Vital Pet podcast to kind of cut through the romanticized highlight reels of the Belgian Malinois.
Oh, there are so many of those highlight reels out there?
Right. I mean, we want to get right down to the raw day-to-day texture of actually living with one of these animals because, let's be honest, it is just so easy to fall down a late-night internet rabbit hole.
Oh, absolutely.
You end up watching videos of a Malinois scaling like a 10-foot wall
Mm.
or doing literal parkour off a tree.
Or responding to those incredibly complex tactical commands with that laser-focused, almost terrifying intensity.
Exactly. It is breathtaking to watch.
Yeah.
But, there's this massive, often completely invisible chasm between admiring those highlight reels from the comfort of your couch and suddenly opening your eyes at 6 a.m.
Oh, yeah, 6 a.m. before you've even had a sip of coffee.
Right. And finding that same dog just staring at you in the dark, fully charged, and like completely expecting you to get to work.
And that chasm, between observation and reality, that is exactly why those Vital Pit transcripts are just so valuable for us to look at today.
I completely agree.
Because the distinction we are exploring is vital. We are dealing with a breed whose drive, frankly, it simply never takes a day off.
And then even on weekends.
No, never. Knowing the historical background of a working dog or, reading clinical health statistics on some breeder's website, that does absolutely nothing to prepare a person for the lived experience.
The physical and psychological reality of sharing your home with one.
Precisely. Because we are talking about an animal that has been selectively engineered for generations to need a job way more than it needs comfort.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it, falling in love with the idea of a Malinois, it's a lot like admiring a high-performance Formula One race car.
Oh, that is a fantastic comparison.
Right. Because when you see it on the track, handled by a professional doing exactly what it is engineered to do, it's just a masterpiece of
A
mechanics.
total masterpiece, yeah.
But then, deciding you want to navigate a Formula One car through daily grocery store traffic, I mean, that is an entirely different lifestyle.
It's loud, it's rigid, the suspension is bone-rattling.
Exactly. And most importantly, it doesn't just sit there and idle quietly in your garage.
No, the maintenance required for that Formula One car is really the perfect lens for this. Because an F1 car isn't built for a casual Sunday drive.
Definitely not.
And, well, a Malinois isn't built for passive companionship. When someone brings one of these dogs into their home, they really aren't just adopting a pet.
They're adopting a lifestyle.
Right, they're inheriting a highly specialized, demanding lifestyle.
So before we get into that 6:00 a.m. wake-up call, I do want to clarify some terminology you just used, because I think it trips a lot of people up.
Sure, go for it.
When we say this dog has a relentless drive, are we just talking about a dog with a massive surplus of energy? Like, a Labrador puppy that drank a shot of espresso? Or is this a completely different biological mechanism?
That is such a crucial distinction to make. Energy and drive are really not the same thing at all.
Okay.
High energy basically means a dog has physical stamina, right? They want to run around, they want to burn it off in the yard.
It's general zoomies.
Exactly. But drive, specifically in the context of a working breed like a Malinois, is a neurological imperative to complete a task.
A neurological imperative. Wow.
Yeah, it's this ingrained genetic compulsion. They don't just want to move their bodies, they want to solve a problem.
They need to overcome an obstacle or apprehend a target.
Right, and they get this massive, deeply satisfying hit of dopamine when they do it.
So it's literally chemically rewarding for their brain.
Yes. So when we talk about their drive not taking a day off, we mean their brain is constantly actively scanning the environment for a job to do.
Which brings us right back to 6:00 a.m. Because if this dog's brain is already scanning for a job before the sun is even up, what exactly are they expecting from you at that hour?
A lot.
I'm assuming we aren't just talking about a quick lap around the cul-de-sac for a bathroom break.
Oh, far from it. The source material spent an entire episode just breaking down these morning routines.
Yeah, that was wild to read.
Right. And they highlight that a Malinois requires upwards of an hour of dedicated, focused, and active engagement every single day, often starting first thing in the morning.
And the critical concept there seems to be active engagement.
Yes, active. You cannot just stand there and throw a ball while you're scrolling on your phone.
Which is what most of us do with our dogs.
Exactly. But with them, you have to be mentally present. You have to give their mind a structured sequence of commands to execute before the rest of your household's day even begins.
But I mean, what if life just happens? Say you oversleep because your alarm didn't go off, or You have an early Zoom meeting for work that you absolutely cannot miss.
Right, a sudden schedule change.
Yeah, and that morning routine gets skipped. Do they just sort of sigh and hit the snooze button in bed with you?
Definitely not. If you deny that drive its purposeful outlet, the dog becomes highly insistent and just incredibly difficult to settle down.
So they don't just go back to sleep.
No, the energy doesn't evaporate. It sort of curdles into frustration. The experts repeatedly warn that if you do not provide the entertainment and the job, a Malinois will absolutely generate its own entertainment.
And I'm guessing their version of a fun morning project usually involves, like, redesigning your living room furniture with their teeth.
You're not far off. There was actually a highly memorable anecdote in the transcript from a behaviorist.
Oh, I remember this one.
Yeah, they took an emergency call because an owner's Zoom meeting ran just 45 minutes late.
Just 45 minutes.
Just 45 minutes. And in that short window, their Malinois had meticulously stripped all the drywall off a 4-foot section of their hallway.
Unbelievable. Just ate the house.
Right, but not out of malice.
Yeah.
Just because the dog decided that, well, interior demolition was the day's job since the owner hadn't provided one.
That is terrifying.
It really illustrates the overarching reality here. Your entire lifestyle adapts around the dog.
Your work from home schedule, your weekend plans, your downtime.
All of it. It all gets restructured to manage this animal's intense need for an outlet.
I do have to push back on this a little bit, though, specifically on behalf of anyone listening who might work from home.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's say I'm at my desk for 8 hours, right? And my dog is lying on a premium orthopedic bed right next to my chair the entire time.
Very common scenario.
Right. I'm giving him scratches while I read my emails. I'm talking to him. We are physically in the same room all day. Doesn't that count as bonding time? Doesn't that count for something in terms of fulfilling their needs?
What's fascinating here is that to a working breed, your passive presence essentially means nothing.
Really? Nothing at all?
Pretty much nothing. Being in the room while staring at a laptop screen isn't engagement in their language. They genuinely crave the friction of a shared task.
So they need you to be working with them.
Yes. Any inconsistency in that dynamic, like you being physically present but mentally unavailable, that signals to them that the structure is completely broken down.
They don't just want to be near you.
Right, they want to be working with you.
Well, if passive time doesn't count, I'm just trying to figure out how a normal, busy owner actually fulfills this intense need for active engagement without completely burning out.
It is a challenge.
Because if you're listening to this and thinking, I don't have 3 hours a day to do police-level training drills in my yard, the natural human instinct is to try and outsource the work.
Oh yeah, the outsource mentality.
Right, which brings up the ultimate dream of the big backyard. People always say, I'll get a high-energy dog once I finally have a house with a huge fenced-in yard.
And that brings us to one of the most pervasive myths in dog ownership. The source material spent a lot of time completely debunking this.
Let's get into it, because this blew my mind.
Square footage matters far less than structured engagement. A yard is literally just an empty room with grass.
Because open space alone doesn't provide any problem solving. There's no job out there in the grass.
Precisely. It's the exact opposite of what people think happens out there. There was a fantastic case study in the sources comparing a Malinois living in a small city apartment with one living on a sprawling 2-acre suburban lot.
And the results were completely counterintuitive.
Totally. The apartment dog was thriving. It was relaxed, perfectly well adjusted. But the dog with the massive backyard had developed severe anxiety.
Just pacing around.
Right. It was pacing a literal deep figure-8 trench into the lawn out of pure frustration.
Wow.
Because the apartment owner was forced to provide genuine, structured mental and physical engagement every single time they took the dog out.
I couldn't just open a door.
Right. While the suburban owner just opened the back door and, hoped the open space would somehow do the work for them.
It sounds like urban life and rural life just present completely different textures of management.
Very much so.
Like if you live in a city, you're constantly navigating the dog around traffic and crowds, other dogs, tight spaces.
It's chaotic.
Yeah, that environmental chaos essentially forces you to actively manage the dog on a leash, which naturally provides a ton of mental stimulation.
Exactly. But if you have open rural space, the environment isn't really challenging them at all, so you have to deliberately invent the mental stimulation yourself.
That is the exact trade-off,
Yeah.
which naturally leads to the question of how you sustainably add that mental stimulation.
Hey, without quitting your job to become a full-time dog trainer.
Because it can't mean setting up a rigid, hour-long military obstacle course in your living room every night.
No, sustainable ownership is entirely about small, compounded layers of engagement.
So what does that layering actually look like in practice?
Well, it looks like asking the dog for a strict sit and prolonged, focused eye contact before you ever lower their food bowl.
Making them work for the meal.
Exactly. It means adding decision points during your standard morning walk,
Like what kind of decisions?
like asking them to stop, down, change direction, or even balance their front paws on a curb instead of just mindlessly covering a mile of pavement on autopilot. Oh, that makes so much sense.
Or it means hiding their favorite toy somewhere in the house and making them use their nose to clear rooms to find it.
I love this concept. It really makes me think of sneaking vegetables into a kid's meal.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
You don't have to go out of your way to cook a whole separate, elaborate dish of broccoli that they're going to complain about and fight you on.
You just hide it.
Yeah, you just creatively puree the vegetables and fold them into the pasta sauce you were already making anyway.
Exactly.
You're just layering the mental work into the moments of the daily routine that are already happening.
And that reframing is truly the survival mechanism for this breed.
It has to be.
Owners who treat mental engagement as an additional chore, like, oh no, it's 8 p.m., I have to go do the dog's puzzle time for an hour, they inevitably burn out.
It's just not sustainable.
But the owners who succeed are the ones who fold it into their normal life so seamlessly that it just becomes their natural way of communicating with the animal. But speaking of normal life is often incredibly chaotic.
Oh, definitely.
If just structuring the environment for yourself and the dog is this intense, it really makes me wonder what happens when you remove that control. Like when you throw the unpredictability of kids and other pets into this highly structured environment.
It changes everything.
Because if this dog's drive demands constant mental engagement, it has to completely reshape the family dynamic.
It fundamentally alters the household ecology. Now, the sources are very clear that in a well-managed home, a Malinois can be a wonderful, grounded, and deeply devoted family presence.
They can be great with families.
Yes, absolutely. However, the herding and prey instincts are hardwired, and like we said earlier, they do not take days off.
Let's define that for the listener, too. When we talk about herding instinct or prey drive in a typical family setting, what does that actually look like? Are we just talking about them nipping at heels?
Well, it stems from the predatory motor sequence.
Which is what?
It goes eye, stalk, chase, grab, bite, kill, bite.
Okay, that sounds intense.
Right, but in working and herding dogs, selective breeding has amplified the first few steps, eyeing, stalking, chasing, and grabbing, and heavily suppressed that final step.
I see.
So in practice, a fast-moving, high-pitched toddler running across the living room, that can easily trigger that chase and grab instinct.
Meaning what exactly for a parent trying to manage this?
Meaning parents must develop a literal, automatic habit of watching how the dog is reading the room at all times.
You can't ever just tune out.
No. You have to constantly observe how the dog's body language changes when a child's sudden squeal or erratic movement happens. You are always playing referee.
I have to be honest, doesn't this constant vigilance, always having one eye on the dog, constantly monitoring the room's energy levels, doesn't that sound absolutely exhausting for a family who is just looking for a loyal companion?
This raises an important question about realistic expectations, and the honest answer is yes, it is intensely demanding, and it absolutely is not for everyone.
Right.
But the families who thrive with a Malinois, they do not view this vigilance as an exhausting burden of anxiety. They actually build this awareness into their normal rhythm until it becomes second nature.
How so?
Think of it like checking your rear view and side mirrors while driving on the highway.
Oh, okay.
When you first learn to drive, checking all those mirrors feels overwhelming, and it takes so much conscious effort.
Right. You're gripping the wheel, sweating.
Exactly. But after a few years, your brain does it automatically to keep you safe. Managing a high-drive dog around kids becomes the exact same kind of automatic reflex.
It just becomes part of your background processing.
Yes. The fatal mistake is naively hoping the dog will just somehow grow out of its instinctive herding behavior if you ignore it.
And what about coexisting with other animals? Can you have a family cat or another dog?
Introducing them to other dogs works well if you provide thoughtful introductions and maintain a really clear pack structure.
Okay, dogs are fine. What about cats?
Living with cats or small animals requires ongoing, active management for the entire lifespan of the dog.
Because of that prey sequence we just talked about.
Exactly. To a Malinois, a small, darting animal looks like an activation switch. You can never just assume the dynamic is entirely settled just because they haven't chased the cat in 3 weeks.
That is a lot to manage. So we've established the intense realities of the controlled home environment, right? The early mornings, the layered mental stimulation, the constant vigilance with kids and cats.
It's a tight ship.
It is.
Yeah.
But if maintaining this delicate balance is this rigorous at home, what happens when you are forced to leave that controlled ecosystem?
Oh, that's where things get tricky.
Like what happens when you completely upend the routine by traveling, boarding, or dealing with extreme weather?
Travel is manageable, provided the dog has been gradually acclimated to things like cars and crates. But owners have to remember that a vacation does not pause the breed's biological needs.
Right, their brain doesn't know it's a holiday.
Exactly. You can't just take a Malinois to a quiet beach house, sit on the porch reading a book for a week, and expect the dog to just chill out and enjoy the ocean breeze with you. They still need a job, even on vacation.
Which leads me to deduce that boarding them must be an absolute nightmare.
It can be.
Given how deeply attached they are to routine and to their specific handler, I'm guessing you can't just drop them off at a standard bustling dog kennel for a week while you fly to Hawaii.
You absolutely cannot. And the experts on the podcast stress this heavily. A standard kennel environment where it is loud, chaotic, and totally understimulating is psychologically brutal on this breed.
Because they don't have their handler.
Right. Their well-being is so deeply intertwined with working alongside their handler, so dropping them into a noisy environment with zero structure, it causes them to struggle profoundly.
What happens to them?
They often lose weight, they develop stress behaviors, and they severely regress in their training. Boarding them requires finding a specialized facility, often a working dog trainer, who will maintain their mental engagement while you are gone.
Wow, so you have to really plan ahead. Let's talk about the physical elements now, like the grooming and the weather.
Grooming is, ironically, the easiest part of owning a Belgian Malinois.
Oh, a relief.
Right. They have a short, relatively low-maintenance coat. They do blow their coat, meaning they shed heavily a couple of times a year, so regular brushing is needed. But compared to their psychological demands, grooming is a total breeze.
And what about the weather?
Weather, on the other hand, is a critical safety factor you have to actively manage. They tolerate cold very well because their internal engine runs so hot, but extreme heat is a massive danger.
Here's where it gets really interesting based on the notes we have. Because a Malinois' drive will actually outpace its own physical judgment in extreme heat.
Yes.
Meaning, if you're out in the sun playing fetch on a 95-degree day, the dog will literally work itself to the point of heat stroke and collapse.
Without hesitation.
Because completing the job matters more to them than their own safety.
Exactly. And the mechanism behind why they do this is fascinating. Remember that dopamine hit we talked about earlier?
The chemical reward for working.
Yes. The neurological reward they get from completing the task, whether it's fetching a ball or running a drill, is so overwhelmingly powerful that it essentially overrides their basic biological instinct for self-preservation.
That is wild.
They literally do not feel the heat or the exhaustion in the same way a normal dog would because the drive completely masks it.
So they won't stop themselves.
Never. Therefore, your intervention becomes a literal life-saving mechanism. You have to act as their prefrontal cortex in those moments.
You have to be their logic.
Yes, you have to be the one to recognize the signs of heat exhaustion and definitively say we are done, because they will never, ever say it themselves.
Which perfectly distills this entire dynamic and brings us to the ultimate question. We've laid out these incredibly intense realities today. The early mornings, the required mental stimulation, the family vigilance, the environmental management, acting as their brain in extreme weather.
It's a massive list.
Who is actually cut out for this? What does a mismatch look like?
Mismatches are unfortunately very common, and they rarely happen because of a lack of love.
That's the sad part.
It is. They happen when owners genuinely care for the dog but simply lack the structural discipline to meet its needs consistently.
Right.
Or, they want a calm, low-key companion, but they were seduced by how striking the dog looks, or they just liked the idea of looking tough walking a police dog down the street.
Like we said earlier, they wanted the F1 car parked in the driveway to impress the neighbors, but they had absolutely zero interest in doing the daily grueling engine maintenance required just to keep it street legal.
That maintenance metaphor is exactly what separates a failed adoption from a successful partnership. The source material had this fantastic interview with a behaviorist who noted that thriving owners don't view the training as a chore to check off.
It's not just another thing on the to-do list.
No, to them, the maintenance is the hobby. They are the people who actually get a thrill from waking up at 5:30 a.m. to meticulously shape a new obedience command. They have flexible schedules, yes, but more importantly, they have realistic expectations of a fully integrated lifestyle.
The dog is a central part of their day.
Exactly, an active participant, not just a furry accessory waiting in the living room for them to get home.
So what does this all mean? If you put in that massive, almost exhausting amount of work, what is the reward?
It's unparalleled.
To me, it sounds almost exactly like playing a highly demanding team sport. You know, the bond you have with your teammates isn't built by just sitting on the couch watching TV together.
Right, that's not how you build a team.
The bond is forged through the shared sweat, the grueling early morning practices, the sore muscles, and those really difficult training sessions.
Yes.
You create a profound connection through that shared struggle that you simply cannot replicate any other way.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the Belgian Malinois requires you to show up as your absolute best, most structured, and most disciplined self. They demand your total presence.
You can't fake it with them.
You really can't. And the emotional payoff for that is extraordinary. Owners consistently describe it feeling less like traditional pet ownership and much more like a true partnership.
A real partnership.
Yes, this is a creature that learns to read your most subtle physical cues, a partner that is deeply invested in whatever activity you are doing together. You aren't just given their loyalty because you fill a food bowl. You earn it, and you work for it together every single day.
It really is a complete and total lifestyle shift. So as we wrap up this deep dive, for you listening right now, if you are looking over at your golden retriever and wondering what it would be like to level up to a Malinois, remember this. You don't just fit a Belgian Malinois into your life adapts to the Malinois.
So
Whether you are actively prepping to bring one of these incredible dogs into your home, or you just want to better understand the working dogs you see out in the world, the biggest takeaway is that the daily work isn't the price of the relationship. The work is the relationship.
it is a beautiful way to live if you're prepared for it. And, analyzing this dynamic leaves me thinking about something beyond just dogs.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if a deep, unbreakable partnership with a working breed is forged strictly through shared problem solving and structured daily challenges, rather than just passive coexistence, what if we applied that same concept of integrated engagement to our own human relationships?
Oh, wow. That's a shift.
Right. What if our strongest human bonds are waiting to be built not by just sitting in the same room scrolling on our phones or passively watching a screen, but by actively tackling complex tasks and solving problems side by side?
It's a fascinating thought to leave on. Maybe we all need to treat our relationships a little less like a passive Sunday drive and a little more like steering that Formula One car. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.